Became a single mom of 3 kids overnight because my ex-husband decided to leave me for another woman after 7 years of marriage. I was completely blindsided by this, and when he left, I had a 9-month-old, 1.5-year-old, and a 5-year-old. So 3 children under 5. He also decided that he was not going to pay any child support or help with the mortgage or help with any bills. He literally said, I'm leaving, I'm starting a new life, packed up his things, and literally left that same week. He also filed for divorce that same week, and that same week was posting videos and pictures all over his Facebook with his new girlfriend. And everything happened so fast, I didn't even have time to tell my family I was going through a divorce. Everyone found out that we were split because of his Facebook post, because he made his new relationship public super fast. And let me tell you what saved me when I was going through that devastating time in my life. What saved me was the fact that I had a degree and a career.
First off, like if and men take care of your children. Period. Like if the situation don't work out, I could understand that. But to leave and neglect your child, like that's one thing. But I know how sometimes it becomes like more of a battle between like pride, and a lot of times the man or the woman, whoever's in that predicament where they're leaving, they don't want to compromise anything. So either way it goes, like I said, it's never good to be in a situation where you're not taking care of your kids just because the relationship didn't work out. I do wonder what happened for it to get to that point, but let's go ahead and listen.
Because I had the degree and because I got the career, I was able to financially provide for my entire household on my own. I was able to afford the mortgage, all the car payments, the childcare, everything. And this is very important because after he left, it's like he became a whole different person. I didn't recognize him anymore. And it's like that saying goes, you don't divorce the same person that you marry. Some men, actually most men, will switch up on you. This is why you have to make sure you always have your own shit. I don't care if you're a stay-at-home mom. I don't care if that man loves you and swears he would never leave you or
I agree with her 100%. I've mentioned before, I think like if you're in a relationship, like speaking from my experience, I definitely want whoever I'm with to excel in life. I personally, like I said, my girl's a stay-at-home mom. She takes care of our son. She's still an entrepreneur. She does her own thing with her business. She doesn't work full time, but she still has things of her own. We invest together. I've made sure that I'm doing whatever I can possibly to put her in a position to where she could strive. And the reason why I look at it that way is like I'm not the type of person that I don't want you to just rely on me for everything. Because I'm like, look, if I build a legacy and anything were to happen to me, you need to be able to take the reins. So I try to make sure anything that I know, you need to know, like, so I want to share that information. So I never got that in these situations where your wife or your husband is in a like stay at home, let's say. Let's clarify that because we're not really referring to a woman that's working and taking care of business as a mom. Those that stay at home and solely rely on the breadwinner in the household to take care of things. So I think even then, like being in that situation where you're isolated and you don't have like opportunity to educate yourself or grow, I think we live in a completely different time. You have Etsy, you have YouTube, you have TikTok, you have Shopify. It is so easy to set up a website on Shopify that you could just make trinkets at home. You name it, you could sell recipes, digital products. Like there are so many ways to turn a dollar, or like I said, maximize your dollar. Even being a stay-at-home mom, if you even have little income, and like I said, I'm telling you because I'm doing it right now with my girl. Like she's doing well for herself. She doesn't have a high income, and she still contributes and she still invests and she's still growing and learning and chasing her passions and pursuing businesses. So again, you could have your balance. And to me, I said there's no excuse. We don't have support for the family. It's just her and I. Uh, So again, it's the situation you put yourself in and the people you around. I'm gonna pour into you. If you with me, I'm gonna pour into you 100%. And like we both gonna win together. Whether you decide to work or you want to be a stay-at-home mom.
cheat on you. I don't care if he's the best husband and father in the world. You need to make sure you have a backup plan. Because not only do men cheat and leave, but they can also die. And while I'm not here to tell you to go get a job and stop being a stay-at-home mom, now listen. You can be a stay-at-home mom, but make sure you have a backup. Because if you don't, your children will struggle. And you too. But the most important people who matter in this dynamic are the children. Always have something you can fall back on, maybe a savings. If you have certificates, degrees, a good resume, you can kind of polish up. And I know there's going to be a lot of uninformed women who do not understand how divorce and the family court system works that are going to say, well, I'll just take alimony. I'll just get child support from him. While yes, you may or may not qualify for both. Side note, alimony is very hard to get nowadays. A lot of judges don't even like giving out alimony. All of these ideas that you have are all great in theory, but it doesn't really work like that. If your husband decides to leave today, it takes months and even years for a child support order to be put into place. And then he has the option to not pay if he don't want to. So then you have to go into enforcement, which also takes months and years. And in my case, my ex-husband decided that he didn't want to pay anything.
I don't know. It sounds like to me he seems extremely bitter from the situation for whatever. I don't know if that's just his personality or he has just poor character. But sometimes, like I said, when somebody has adverse reaction to it, it's usually from a reaction to something. A lot of times you want to hear both sides of the story, and I'm not discrediting her. Um, Regardless, he left her with what 3 kids under 5, which is insane. Again, like just me thinking that, trying to rationalize, like it's hard for me to see it because I guess being a new dad, my son's too, like I couldn't see just leaving him alone, like just completely and financially, and just like I don't want to deal with you because your mom. Like for me, it would have to be something like life threatening, and I'd have to still at that point still battle for my kids. So for me, it's hard to rationalize. Like the only thing that could come to mind for me is like she did something like diabolical for him to just be like, I'm just starting over with a whole new family. I don't want any association with that. It's either that or he has very poor character. Because if you could lay down and conceive a child, you know who you decided to partner up with. You decided you shacked up with her. You knew you guys got married, so you know who you selected. People change and evolve over time, but again, you can kind of look at patterns and tell, like, hey, maybe, or, this person might have like the inclination, to do this or do that. So it's hard to say without having full context of the story, but I mean, kudos to her, man. It sounded like she did her thing. She bounced back and she made sure she was able to get on her feet and provide for her family. I'm telling you, I tell my girl all the time, like, you never know what could happen. Obviously, we have life insurance and things in place, but it's just like, even then, like, if you pass over a legacy, I'm going to say it again, you can easily squander away money if you don't have financial literacy. So it's extremely important to make sure you're empowering your loved ones. But sometimes people are manipulative to the point where like they want to have that power over you. Like I want you to have the autonomy to lead. Like I don't want you to be here just because of like security and like financial security. Is like I want to see how you act when you have your own. Like and don't get me wrong, I'm willing to go above and beyond for you. But it's just like I want you to be here because you want to be here. Life is too short. I'm not trying to force somebody to be in a situation or predicament they don't want to be in. So it's like, if you want to be here, baby, let's build together. Otherwise, get on out of my way. You slowing me down. So let's wrap this up. Let's see what else you got to say.
Even though we had a court order signed by a judge, it took me over 9 months to be able to get him to pay for everything to be garnished. And I can only imagine how much me and my children would have struggled if I didn't have the career and the income that I had to be able to sustain us during this time.
Okay, and like I said, I reinforce that. I encourage women, even if like for the stay-at-home dads too, like do something that you're passionate about. It. If you could turn a little profit from it, then great. Put that money away, stack. And it's like, I don't know, I'm kind of indifferent. It's like you obviously anything could happen, but you shouldn't go in that predicament or the situation just only protecting yourself. Like if you feel that way, I think that's a like dialogue you should have with your husband or wife. It's like, all right, well, in the event something does happen, how would we handle this and make a plan? Because I think people are like, oh, you shouldn't sign a prenup. Your prenup is planning to fail. It's like, nah, the government puts in place a certain contract or structure. It's like, dude, you're not going to say you're a talent. You're not just going to go signed to an agency and they just write whatever contract up, you obviously want to make sure those stipulations are in your favor, and in both parties' favor. That's a good business transaction. And the way it's structured now, marriage is a business. It's not just about love. Like, if you like, one of the biggest things that break marriage up is financial issues. You know, not infidelity, is finances. So it's like, but you look at that, marriage is a business. You gotta, you not, I'm not saying completely treat it like a business, but you gotta have that in the back of your head that whenever you don't keep that structure running how it should, then there's a good possibility that you'll lose employees. And that's just a like analogy. When I mean that, like, you know, a family breaking up. It's like, if you're not paying your employees, they might go, they might wonder, they might look at other options for employment, you know? So it's like, I kind of look at it the same way. If you're not taking care of your household, then, you know, there's a likelihood that, you know, the eyes wonder, or there, you know, there might be a possibility that this may not be something that y'all end up doing for the long run. But again, shout out to her, all the women or men that are going through situations like that and they're overcome it because of a bad marriage. But let me know what you think in the comments. Should you always have a backup plan? Is it on the man? Is it a woman? I think it's a leadership thing. Like, if it's you chose a man to lead you, and people change, but you got to be accountable for the decisions you make, or, you know, the cause of your actions. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe. I'm out. Peace.